Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using stock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Neil, 10th Man, father of a stolen child, Brian's Logic, Arwin, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello,
Morning,
hello.
morning.
Good afternoon.
Wait.
Good afternoon, welcome.
Morning.
Hello, Redman, good to have you. Any evidence?
Redman.
Always.
Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
You can't detect it.
Nah.
Nah.
What do you mean detect it?
Well, you can
I've never
formulate
seen
it. You can measure. Yeah, you can calculate it, but you can't actually detect it because of the curve function collapse.
He's been saying that on his show as well. I was chuckling while I was watching your show this morning, Arwin. The curve function collapse. The problem, as soon as you observe it, it becomes flat. The moment you try and observe curvature, it collapses into locally flat. I mean, there's not a lot you can do about it. It's the, what do you call it again, Arwin?
Exactly. That's how it works.
What's it called?
Yeah, as soon as you engage in detection of any sort using radar or laser or your eyes or a camera, yeah, things will reveal themselves as flat because of the wave or the curve function collapse effect.
Curve function
But
collapse,
you can
that's the
still
one.
calculate it as spherical, though.
Back in reality, and speaking of cameras, there is a limit to the resolution of a camera, calculable with the Rayleigh criterion. That would be the point where things can no longer be resolved, also known as the diffraction limit. Something that is absolutely, unequivocally not included in an Earth curve assertion that has a physical geometric sphere edge blocking your view, and has feet and inches or meters ascribed to the targets, so that you do not account for the reduction in angle at distance, typified by National Geographic's picture of a boat going over a sphere edge in orthographic Muppet vision, where you've got the bottom of Earth curve blocking a boat on a scale that would have the boat 3,000 miles away. But nevertheless, the boat's still exactly the same scale and size because it excludes perspective. The boat's, what, 70 foot high? The man's 6 foot high? Well, we don't have to represent any changes when it gets further away now, do we? Fortunately, this point that we were barking about for about 3 straight years, I checked, 2018 was when we were talking about this. 3 years later, our opponents have started to recognise that there are other effects beyond Earth curve, that single assertion in their Earth curve maths, that can cause things to disappear with distance. One of them being an effect of perspective called the Rayleigh criterion and the diffraction limit. So hashtag thanks cats once again. It's been a month solid of thanking cats.
Right, but
It has.
Nation, you do overlook that the mistake they really made is they used the calculations, the spherical calculations of where things should be in sight if the curve function collapse would not occur, right? That was the mistake they made. They didn't realize that, yeah, it does collapse, making it flat. But if that wouldn't happen, then it would have been correct what they attempted.
No, that is correct, Arwin. And the way they've achieved that is by taking reality, which is what you see with your eyeballs or the frame of a camera when you present a picture to somebody, and then presenting you with the side of your own head, as described Right on cue from National Geographic. So here you are, before curve function collapse, seeing the side of your own head. You're like, that's not how we see the world. This is supposed to be representative of Earth curve mathematics, with a Muppet vision that's orthographic side on view to a boat that is claimed to have Earth curve obstruction, physical geometric horizons blocking your view of it. And exactly as described, this scale will give you the boat at a few thousand miles away. But obviously that's not going to be factored in. It's just going to be a meters or feet value ascribed to this boat when you tell us that it's only disappeared from bottom up because the Earth curve's got in the way, ignoring the fact that the bottom of the boat's got the most limited angle against the deck. And that limited angle can cause things to reach and breach a diffraction limit, causing them to disappear completely from view.
Hey, Nathan, wasn't there a number in the Rayleigh criteria, like 1.2 or something?
It's the camera aperture, lambda over the camera aperture, I believe. But yeah, 1.22. I don't know the Rayleigh criterion off the top of my head.
Okay, so that 1.22, isn't that the same thing that we do with the Black Swan?
No,
Incidentally?
that's what I was trying to contrast yesterday, when I also got the Rayleigh criteria wrong. Anyway, the contrast is that you've got the same, similar maths. Now, I'm no mathematician, and it's been 3 or 2.5 years since that particular aspect was broken down for me by Life is Short. Subsequently, you've got Flat Earth, what's the guy's name? He's changed his name recently, which is why I can't credit him.
Data?
So, Data, yeah. That's his old name, though. I can't remember his new name to credit him. Anyway, Flat Earth Data was in the chat when he was around. He's not at the moment. Highlighting that comparison mathematically, which is something that's beyond my scope. You know, I know my limitations. He can do it. Maybe I'll have him on the show to make that contrast mathematically, which is beyond my limitations. Not embarrassed to say so. But by the same token, yeah, bit of a coincidence, eh? We've got a limitation to our view at 1.22. Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you've also got the same exact number in the limitation of view caused by Earth curve when excluding all aspects of perspective. That's no coincidence.
I think it's interesting the way the horizon can change its position depending on which device you use to measure with.
That's because, as put by Life is Short, when people say incorrectly the horizon rises to eye level, that's wrong. The horizon is your eye level. So it's not like a physical point in the distance is moving as you raise. It's your view, and therefore if you change the aperture of your camera, you change the diffraction limit, the point where you can't resolve the difference between the sea and the thing on top of it. That happens at the horizon. The, what do you know in art terms, vanishing point. What's that you all say, Globers? No, that's Earth curve getting in the way. Yeah, well, what's the Rayleigh criterion? Oh, it's a point where you can have things disappear through diffraction, where you can't resolve them anymore. Oh, right, where's that in Earth curve maths? It isn't. It's just Earth curve getting in the way. We ignore all aspects of perspective. Oh, by the way, hashtag thanks, cats, for now detailing exactly that, which is not included in your Earth curve maths. That would be the diffraction limit. Amazing that the ballers are now detailing it to their own bloody audience. How times have changed, eh?
Wasn't there a claim that they could see if there was a telescope all the way to their backside? How can they even make that claim when the eye, obviously there's a vanishing point with our eye?
Very well put. So when they made the assertion that if you could have the right conditions conducive with 7/6 refraction juxtaposed into their refraction that allows infinite over 6R, you can see the back of your own head in a telescope. Oh, really? I beg to differ. Number one, we don't have refraction at a rate that's based on a radius. We've debunked the radius with the Black Swan. But further to that, at the distance, if you straightened it out and ignored their nonsensical bend around the world refraction that relies on R, I would postulate that you would be too small to see. If you took the same distance and said a man 24,000 miles away through any telescope will be visible, no, he'll be too small. And you can calculate where he'd disappear with the diffraction limit based on the Rayleigh criterion. And the aperture of your camera over the wavelength of light. So, yeah, these things are real. You know what we got told 3 years ago? That's perspective. Don't need that. We've got geometry. Not anymore. Now we're told we wouldn't expect to see geometry.
Oh, the times have changed.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Interesting. You can ask that question. I was coming back with 3 golfers yesterday from an outing, and the one in the passenger seat was talking about how the day before he and his buddy went into the rabbit hole on some of the issues that exist out there. And so I said, okay, so he's going down the rabbit hole on some conspiracies. Let me see if I could, say something. So of course I waited to hear him out, and then I brought in the sun. And so I said, hey, look, there's the sun there. And what do you see through the clouds? I go, are those rays parallel or are those rays divergent? And man, they were as divergent as you can get, on that drive back home yesterday. And he says, well, what do you mean divergent? I go, funny angles. He goes, oh yeah, definitely funny angles. And I said, well, it's supposed to be 93 million miles away. So how does that work? And he turned around, he says, now, you guys, have you checked out the flat earth? Yeah, so I was dying at that point. I said, yeah, go on. Let me hear what you got. And so we had a conversation all the way home, and we came on axial rotation. And I said, hey, when you were golfing today, did you have to adjust for it? Did you feel the earth spinning? He says, no. I go, well, that's what's supposed to happen. When your golf ball goes up in the air, the earth has to spin underneath it. He had the weirdest look on his face. He says, wow, that is stupid.
I bet you were really pleased with the outcome. And then you come here and someone like me says, what do you mean it's supposed to be 93 million miles away? Slap, slap, slap.
Yeah, it was a fun. Yeah, they all loved it. It was good.
Yeah, but we're guilty on the flat earth side of the reification which has been hardwired into us. So we still say things like the clock's not supposed to be seen. You're not supposed to see the clock, or the sun's supposed to be 93 million miles away. Is it supposed to be 93 million miles away? No. Is the clock supposed to be behind Earth curve? No.
No. It's reality. It's not. It's the way they've been educated, brought up, and it's the first thing they tell you. But it's 93 million miles away. Okay, yeah, that's what they tell you.
Based on R. Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius. Debunked by the Black Swan.
No, because the sun is much closer to us, and so R can't be based on R, so there's no evidence for R.
As long as the curve function is not collapsed, the R can persist if calculated.
But that curve function and R...
If you can't measure it, it ain't real.
Indeed. That's the end of the globe argument, by the way.
Yeah, it's well said there, John. And Nathan, if you could just take a little bit, and for the audience as well as us, they calculate everything. They've never measured anything. They calculate it to a presupposed model.
Yeah, they required a tangent point to assert the geometry that they claimed was perfectly acceptable to beg the question of. Well, we know we've got an R value at radius 3959. We know we're on a sphere. Well, how do you know? Well, we measure it. Well, how do you measure it? Well, we take a dip angle measurement. We drop a tangent to this horizon, and that's how we get the R value. Do a bit of trig. It's dead easy. That gives us our R. All right, so we've got to have a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon then. That's the proof of it. The edge of it being the tangent point for this maths that gives you the R value. That's correct. Well, how can the horizon be beyond the geometric limitations of a sphere radius 3959, as demonstrated in these images we call black swans? Well, it's refracted, so you can't measure the R value then.
Gets better than that. It gets better than that. We've never seen it.
We've never seen it. We wouldn't expect to see geometry. Nobody's claiming the horizon's Earth curve. The geometric horizon only exists in the maths. Those are the rebuttals from the globe side.
That's right, because
ain't
of
measured,
curve
it ain't
function
real.
collapse.
Let Alwyn get his joke in for the 4th time. It's very important, John.
It's not a joke. It's their next savior. It's the next excuse they need, right? First they got terrestrial refraction. Now there's the curve function collapse. Right? That's why you can't detect it. That's why you can't measure it. You can only calculate it, because if you try to detect it, the curve function collapse sets in and then it will turn out completely flat. So yeah, you can't measure it.
What did you measure to calculate it?
You can't. That's what he's saying. As soon as you go to measure it, you end up with it all being flat.
So you can't calculate it.
No, that's what one of the Arwinian paradox byproducts. If you're going to assume
Well,
it, go on, Arwin.
you can still derive the equator length and then calculate it based on that.
That's movement of celestial bodies. We cover that as well.
I'm just saying you can still calculate it even if it's not based on measurements.
Right, you can still calculate the amount of consumption a unicorn will require in hay, right? Doesn't mean that unicorns are real, but you can definitely calculate that.
Well, you can't really disprove they're real, so...
Argument from ignorance fallacy. Let's move on. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
We don't need any. According to Einstein and what happened, was it 106 years ago? It's been superseded.
Yeah, mass doesn't attract mass.
Well, they knew that, and when they couldn't demonstrate that, they had to make up something else real quick, or else everyone else was going to say, "Hey, how come I'm not seeing mass attract mass ever?" Oh, okay,
Hold
so
on.
let's bring in fourth dimensional.
Where has it ever been officially stated that mass doesn't attract mass, right? I think that the Cavendish setup has been ignored and then proceeded by Einstein, but I don't think it's ever literally said, no, this isn't true.
And
No.
what is the Cavendish? What did you call it? An experiment?
No,
Did
they
I?
haven't. Arwin's point is that the old and busted, not working rules that you've got asserted as laws haven't ever been decried, taken off the books, whatever you want to call it, memory hold. They still assert it. Now, the fact that they've got a
That's right.
completely contrary position with pseudo force space, which has superseded the mass attracting mass, which you can debunk with a kettle or a helium balloon. You know, that is Arwin's point. They still have that rhetoric, even though it doesn't make any sense anymore and has been replaced.
Well, it hasn't really been replaced. That's the point. There's just an alternative route into pure conception. Yeah, one can argue freely, and even people as dumb as Fight the Flat Earth have reasoned out, yeah, well, maybe the bending of space-time causes an emergent force that is mass attracting mass, right?
Yeah,
And that's a natural conclusion to come to based on these loose fragments left out in the open.
Yes, there's a lot of bullshit to go by. Yes, you can use a lot of nonsense to bamboozle people. Yes, that's right, Arwin. Doesn't change the fact that the current rhetoric is in fact a superseded position with Einsteinian superseding Newtonian. That is the current rhetoric. Mass does not attract mass.
I don't know, man. The only thing that actually points at the refuting, as you say, is snapping the 1 and 2. That's like the only thing that was ever said to basically point at that. But what does that even freaking mean, right? It's getting weird. What wand? You know, so I'm not too sure. I think it's suggested, like, let's move on to this. Let's move on to this Einsteinian gravity. But they never actually completely said, look, this is wrong. Mass is not attracted by mass. I've never read it anywhere. I never read mass is not attracted by mass. Right?
Okay.
So it's left open.
They just need to assert it and then prove it if they want to. In other words, if they want to come here and say, no, Arwin, that we haven't denounced it because it's true. Oh, really? Show me where in nature mass attracts mass. Oh, I dropped this microphone. Oh, I dropped this helium balloon.
Right.
And there's another problem.
But that's because of buoyancy, though.
That whole paradigm has been superseded.
Correct. As has the Einsteinian, but we're having a drop to get them to move past their 106-year out-of-date mass-attracting mass rhetoric, superseded by Einsteinian nonsense, which has been pummeled. But we can't even get them to concede to their current rhetoric of Einsteinian gravity. They want to assert that mass attracts mass. It doesn't. Debunked by any gas. It's not attracting, right? It's repelling. Bounces off anything. It's not attracted to the centre of Earth. If it gets to it by coincidence, because it happens to have bounced on something above it and then head downwards, gas expanding in all directions randomly at high speed, that isn't it coalescing around the Earth because it's got mass. Au contraire, it does not do that. Debunking the assertion that mass attracts mass. If in their paradigm they want to assert that gas has mass, which it does in their paradigm, then it should be attracting. In fact, they have a whole narrative in Einsteinian mechanics about gravitational accretion. So yeah, you'd be expecting the gas to be attracting. Even in a vacuum, apparently it does it, right? No, it does not. In fact, it defies natural law to make that assertion.
I think you're misinterpreting how it's supposed to be set up, right? Because Newtonian mechanics completely excluded gases in every form and the consequences. So I think you should interpret the Cavendish test proving mass attracting mass only in solids and liquids, but the gases, which aren't accounted for, are still influenced by the bending of space-time, causing it to hole up in these locations where masses attract masses of the solid and liquid nature.
Oh, God, thank you. Say it 5 more times, baby. Yes, I occasionally get that from the chat trolls, chat skanks, whatever you want to call them. Well, okay, it's back to the same assertion, Arwin. If you want to assert it as mass attracts mass, then you've got to actually back it as mass attracts mass, not just say it excludes gases when they have mass in their paradigm.
Well, they can't assert mass attracts mass anymore because they lost their M2 with the radius.
That's true. Oh, you're on fire.
Yeah, that's over. You ain't allowed to assert that nonsense no more.
Stunned silence.
It's only within observation, curve function collapse. There's still a radius out there outside of our perception.
Don't measure it, it ain't real.
Yeah, where are you going to get your M2 value? Very good point. I hadn't even considered that. When were you going to... Has that just come to you, or have you been waiting a while to bring that on us?
Well, I kind of went into it a little bit, but like QE was trying to move away from Newtonian, and I completely agree with that. So if somebody wants to assert that mass does attract mass, then that's not true either. We don't have the center of M2 does not exist. You can't measure a radius.
It's not true. In pseudo-Riemannian force space, it does exist.
Yes, it might exist in the maths. It doesn't exist in reality. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Black holes suck.
The thing about a black hole, right, is it's black. And the thing about space... I'm only checking. Seriously, though, any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
The Big Bang Theory?
Not a theory. Theories based
How
on...
did you very manipulate that?
Yeah, exactly.
No, but in theory, if heliocentrism was true, you could test if black holes suck, right?
Right,
The
get that
problem
begging
is,
the
though,
question.
like, how are you going to relay that information? Because as soon as you're able to prove it sucks by getting a proximity, you would get sucked up into it and then not able to return in order to relay the data, right?
Yes, nice that you could get to the end of your example,
partially.
having hung the begging the question fallacy right out in the first sentence. Thank you, Arwin.
You're welcome.
Any evidence of a molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Even I can't help you with that, sorry.
That's a silly one.
Yeah, it does seem silly. I've got to be honest. Occasionally, we do go through the story of Thea, which I do find quite amusing. Not that we will be doing that now. Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon.
We're still waiting.
You think
But
if
there's no way
95%
to
of,
demonstrate this.
Say again, John?
you'd think if 95% of the world knew this for fact and just come in here and argue this all the time, where are they? Why are they in the comments acting scared?
They're feeling a different kind of pressure.
That's it. That concludes housekeeping.
Nathan,
Yes.
Redman 116 put up 3 beautiful pictures he took. It's a masterpiece.
Oh, okay. You there, Redman?
Whee!
I'm here.
Got the first one up if you want to tell us what we're looking at.
This I was taking a picture from that building, and I was looking out. You know, normally I take pictures of the mountain, but if you're looking at the pictures, you see the way that the sunlight rays are coming in, and they're all different directions.
I think you'll find they're parallel.
Ah, no, I don't see them. parallel.
That's not
No.
That's not a straight answer.
No. Yeah, indeed.
It's
I'm
all
joking.
holographic.
Sorry, Redman. Yes, indeed.
No, you good. I just thought there was some awesome pictures just to see the way that the sunlight is coming through. That, you know, the line, sunlight is not coming in straight across the board. Now, I can't tell you where exactly they're coming from, but I thought there's pretty nice pictures. Just wanted to share.
Epic. Thank you very much.
Coffee.
Right. And by the way, you'll find that if you take another picture of this location where it seems like the light is hitting the ground in crepuscular rays, that on the other picture of the same location, there will be no crepuscular rays hitting that same location. Just saying. Non-local.
Just like to share my pictures.
I love it.
I have other pictures that I tried to take a picture of the sun, and it just does wonky things. As far as like when you take a picture of the actual sun,
Sure.
it never looks the same.
You've got to have a fair amount of skill
Sorry
to
about
get
that.
sun pictures, though. Check out Paula's channel if you want to see good photography of the sun. Sun photography isn't my thing, but Paula certainly knows her way around a camera and has got some good sun images. I'm sure it'll be in a playlist. Level Up is the name of her channel. But I love it. People sharing their original images when we're making these points it's just a joy.
Well, at some point, just to dovetail on that last statement, at some point, as the sun is transiting the sky at 15 degrees per hour, it does have the highest point over what they call the GP, geographical position, somewhere on the Earth. And that's what they use for celestial navigation. So no matter what it looks to us from whatever angle or whatever, it is at a different place every hour because it's transiting the sky, and that's how you get a fix using the sextant.
How high are you? I'm sure I've asked you this loads of times. How high are you for this image? Breaking up.
14th floor, I think you said.
No, the 49th floor of this building.
Oh, 49.
You know how high the tower is? There's like a communications tower in the distance. Do you know how high that is?
I do not know the height of that tower because there's plenty of them that surrounds that building that are freaking high. They're up there.
Okay, fair enough. Good stuff.
I think that the building that I'm in is the 4th largest building in Atlanta, so it's pretty high up there.
Cool.
Check out that horizon.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Good picture. But you get some great
Excellent.
shots from up there, right?
Yes,
Not the
I got
first.
more.
I'm sure it
I'm
won't be the last.
addicted to my phone.
Yeah, you don't need fantastic equipment to get really good shots.
This is taking with my cell phone.
Indeed. Nothing wrong with that. Cell phones are ace these days. Not like 10 or even maybe 15 years ago when there'd be no definition in it at all. It'd be potato vision, right?
They show
Yeah, it'd be
commercials
fuzzy.
of the the iPhone making movies with their newer phones.
Plenty of YouTubers use iPhones. Anyway. Good stuff. Thank you, Redman.
Yeah, no problem.
So any
We got you one
ballers
more
on
coming
a Friday
in
in
a few
Discord?
minutes.
Friday, everyone's rolling out their week, aren't they? So
Yeah, but are there any ballers in Discord who want to get off chat and have a discussion?
I don't know. There's a few in there. Nobody's piping up so far. Just check if everyone's.
It's way easier to just wait until the comments come out and then, say stuff where you can't be challenged directly.
I'll do a couple of shout outs. So shout out to Flatzoid FE. Did do this appreciation or thanks yesterday, but I'm going to do it again because I took what he had trimmed out from Conspiracy Cat's channel and turned it into a video which will release at 9 p.m. UK time tonight for those of you watching live. So check it out. Called Diffraction versus Earth Curve. Hashtag thanks cats. So as detailed earlier in this live show during the housekeeping, we're now in a position where our own argument, which is to say that things get smaller, hashtag shit shrinks, is now being punted by our own opponents. I'm stuttering over these words because it's quite hard for me to say this because I'm slightly amazed that we're in this position, as joyful it is to be in this position as a flat earther, but that is actually the position. We're literally having our own opponents telling us nobody claims the horizon's Earth curve. Check out perspective. We don't see physical geometry. What bulge? 2021, what great year. Nobody
Yes,
claims the horizon's Earth
funny.
curve. I think it's so great. Oh, it's a good time to be a flatty. And the commenters are agreeing with me. They're telling me this. They're like, hey, it's a great time to be a flatty, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
They're supposed to be our opponents. Why are they helping us?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I think Adam had a reasonable idea when he described why cats would describe the diffraction limit. It's like, if you can talk about it to your own side, it'll seem like it's been addressed, right? Well, he's talked about diffraction. Hasn't he? Yeah. Oh, well, then everything's good. Yeah. Other than that's our argument that we put to you when we point out that you're begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator doesn't account for things getting smaller. Their feet and inches values or meters values being ascribed to the targets only. So it doesn't matter if it's 100 meters away or 100,000 miles away. It's exactly the same value. Oh, it's a 100-foot building. Right, but it's much further away now. Well, it's still 100 foot though, right? Well, that's useful if you want to exclude the diffraction limit calculable in the Rayleigh criterion, as much as I can't believe I'm saying this, currently being detailed by our opponent, Conspiracy Cats. Hashtag thanks cats. So if you want to know how the Rayleigh criterion works, how you can reach and breach a diffraction limit, definitely not accounted for in Earth curve maths, go and check out Conspiracy Cats and its description of the Rayleigh criterion. Exactly as we were detailing 3 years ago, and it was called perspective and ignored. Amazing, really.
It's interesting that they term it that way because the building is physically 100 foot tall for this example. But when it's far away, because of the way our eyes work in the diffraction limit, you may not even be able to even see the building, or you might see part of it. And they're saying, yeah, but it's actually 100 foot. Yeah, if you're standing in front of it, but when you're far away from it, you have limitations with your eye, but you're not at all agreeing that we have any limitations with our eyes.
No, and the defence 3 years ago is no, it's geometric. I need to account for perspective. What do you mean, perspective? This is geometry. Do you understand how geometry works? Just fast forward 3 years. We do not see the geometric horizon. We wouldn't expect to see geometry. Nobody claims the horizon is Earth curve. The geometric horizon only exists in the maths.
What a debacle.
Yeah, what complete cluster screw on the globe side.
I mean, you can go on YouTube right now, pull up videos about the story of Al-Biruni, and it's the opposite of their position now.
Yeah, their position is we can assert we have a sphere beneath our feet because we can measure it at the horizon.
Yeah, and they credit Al-Biruni for that. And he's in all the textbooks and he gets all the praise for it. And now they come and say, well, he never really saw it to say what he could say.
You there, Virus?
I'm telling you, they're throwing poor Al-Biruni under the bus too.
Yeah.
Virus was in chat
Everybody's
earlier.
under the bus.
Virus was in chat earlier. Hey, Chocolate, by the way.
I heard my name. What's up?
Well, you were, I don't know if you were reaching out to me when you were like, I want to talk about the Black Swan. As much as I poo-pooed you at the time, I'm like, are you reaching out? What do you want?
Oh, this is just shit. I would like to have a conversation about the Black Swan. It's something that we actually never talked about. We talked about Coriolis and all that other stuff, but never the Black Swan.
Okay.
Oh, we never talk about the Black Swan here. So I'm glad you brought it up for the first
I
time.
think he means
It
him
should be
personally.
fun.
Yeah, I think he means him personally. Okay.
But now, I'm about to say, if so, we could do it in the after show. Wait a minute, are we in the after show? No, we're not. So can we do it in the after show? Because you know I like to curse and stuff. So
I don't mind.
No, just hold your tongue back.
I don't mind if you curse. You get a pass,
Oh,
right?
okay,
If I have to go through the YouTube algorithm and tell them, I don't mind. Fine.
okay, cool. What?
I'm glad you have such
Black-
discipline.
Do you know the argument, Kuma Virus?
Good question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
repeat
if
the
I-
argument to us. That's our thing.
Okay, I ain't gonna be exactly precise with the numbers because my memory ain't too well. But if Earth is has the radius, Earth is a sphere with a radius of was it 33959 or something like that?
Yeah, correct.
Then yeah, I said what the horizon should be no more of a distance than 1.22 times the height of the observer times what
Squared.
one. You know what I mean? 1 times 2 the observer's height. There you go. Away from you. And since in the Black Swan is further, y'all say it's not a sphere. Is that pretty much like
Close enough. Yes, that's correct.
Hi there, can you hear me?
We can,
Painful.
but can you wait?
Okay, thank you.
Hold on 1 second, whoever you are. So, what was your question in that regards, Virus?
so? Okay. So y'all have this Black Swan that y'all say because the apparent horizon is that far. Well, because the horizon is that far, then it can't be a sphere. I want to know how did y'all come up to that conclusion?
Because it's almost 10 times as far as it should be.
No. Not should be. No. Right. There's a geometric...
Regarding the globe Earth model, that's what I mean by should be.
Fair enough. Hold on. Just hold on 1 second for Virus's benefit. So, you're saying that you don't see the logical consistency, Virus?
Correct.
Okay. I can't help you. If you can't see the logical consistency, what am I supposed to do?
Explain to me how y'all came up with that.
I'll give it a shot, Virus.
Okay.
Do
let
we
me
know
try.
the distance to the 2 oil rigs?
Yeah.
Is the horizon in front of the oil rigs or behind the oil rigs?
Behind.
Okay, then you understand the argument.
Uh,
I don't understand why it's not a sphere.
Because if
Because
it
of
was
the
a sphere,
limitations
me
of your
tell him.
3959.
Because if it was a sphere, as stated in Modus Tollens, then every distance to the horizon would be no more than the geometric limitations of a sphere. So if you imagine that you're asserting that there's going to be a hill at a specific location, and then you drive to it, and on the way to that hill, you say, when we get there and observe this hill, it'll obscure our view of things in the distance based on its physical size and shape, obscuring our view. That's what hills do. Yeah? And you can calculate them if they're a physical hill in the way. Well, that's what Earth is claimed to be. It's claimed to be a sphere with a particular radius, and that would give it a physical limitation. Now, the thing that bemuses me is that this physical limitation I'm describing Earth to have with a sphere radius 3959 would be the assertion that Earth curve gets in the way of boats and buildings. Now, this is not an argument you are unfamiliar with, so the concept of Earth getting in the way of stuff because it's got physical limitations like a hill suddenly seems vague and difficult to understand. I don't get it. That's the claim. You claim Earth, sphere-shaped, has hump getting in way of boat and building. Very simple stuff. Physical geometry and the limitations because of it. Now, if you've got that circumstance, then like the hill example, the hill's going to get in the way. And the top of the hill's going to be in the way of the things that are behind it. Now, you're not going to arrive at that hill and go, oh my God, the hill is behind everything that was formerly behind it. That makes no fucking sense, does it, Virus?
Yeah, but that's a hill in elevation. This is not an elevation change we're talking about. So this is completely different from that analogy.
Oh, right. So if it's not a hill, it's not an elevation change, that'd be a drop. Then what, pray tell, was getting in the way of boats and buildings when people pulled up Earth curve maths and told us that Earth curve got in the way of boats and buildings? That wasn't a hill getting in the way.
No, but it was the ground.
Sorry. So
No.
Stop. Virus. Many of your people on the globe side have come here to tell us that a hill got in the way of boats, and that a hill got in the way of buildings, and that a hill got in the way of the Isle of Man. That hill was called Earth curve, and it was claimed to be getting in the way like a hill gets in the way. Now, I've pointed out with an analogy that gives your Earth curve an equivalence to a hill. Perfectly reasonable equivalence to draw, and the geometry that you assert in Earth curve maths is what you claim, but now you're telling me, no, that's a hill, unlike the hill that used to get in the way of boats and buildings. No, it isn't. We've just debunked it with the black swan, and your justification thereafter is to say it's not actually a hill. No, we agree. The horizon isn't a hill getting in the way of stuff, like is asserted with Earth curve obstructions, hills getting in the way of stuff. No, it's not that, Virus. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Do you consider the Earth curve a hill?
No, you do. I don't consider anything to do with Earth curve. I'm a flat earther. The Earth is obviously and observably flat. When I see something in the distance, I just say what I see. I don't have to justify why Earth curve hasn't got in the way. And in this case, Earth curve getting in the way is a hill getting in the way, and it doesn't. That's what the black swan does. Debunks your hill in the way. And when we point out that you've no longer got the hill in the way, you say, well, that's a hill getting in the way. We haven't got that. That's your defence. So you haven't got an Earth curve hill getting in the way then, Virus. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Don't welcome me to Flat Earth just yet. But at the same time, I would also say that just what part of, if Earth is a sphere with the radius of 3959, what does that, why does that exclude light?
Why does that exclude what?
Why, when y'all say that, y'all exclude light? Like,
I don't say it's not my claim, right? Why are you reversing the burden of proof, Virus? I don't say that. Stop.
I'm not reversing proof.
Sorry.
I'm talking about
Stop. Stop. I heard what you said, and I'd like to respond without you telling me what you're not doing.
Okay.
It is not my claim. So asking me why Earth curve maths doesn't account for light, that would be optical effects. Things like the Rayleigh criterion, currently detailed by Katz. Yeah, we've got the same question. So it would seem, Virus, you're in the same boat as us. Why in unholy fuck does the Earth curve calculator not account for light and optics? That's because it hijacks
No,
those
you
effects
don't-
and calls them Earth curve.
you-
And when I point it out, a fundy who's asked me this question will talk through me because you're triggered. Why doesn't it include light? Well, because it takes the effects of perspective and calls them Earth curve. That's why. And why am I getting fundy muted when I point this out? We don't have a hill getting in the way called Earth curve. That's your concession. Welcome to Flat Earth. Your follow-up question is to ask me why the Earth curve maths doesn't have it. It's not my claim, it's yours.
No.
Go and ask your own fundy
wasn't my
side.
question.
Stop fundy muting me, asshole.
That-
I know this is devastating and you've just said no, an Earth curve hill doesn't get in the way, even though that's what the maths asserts. Yeah, welcome to Flat Earth X3. Meanwhile, you started asking me why Earth curve maths are totally deficient. They're not my maths. They're Earth curve maths. Go and ask the fundies. Go and ask Mick West why his maths is so deficient. Don't ask me.
Hey, Nathan, that wasn't my question.
I heard your question. Why doesn't it include light? It's not my calculator. Go and ask the fundy idiots who assert without any effects of optics that geometry gets in the way, that a hill gets in the way, that the hill you tell us isn't going to get in the way, gets in the way, and you want to worry about why it doesn't have optics in it, why light isn't factored in, why it's a radius-based 7/6 terrestrial refraction that only exists in maths. Those aren't my problems, they're yours.
That wasn't my question. My question was, why
See?
doesn't the Black Swan argument include light?
Because it's about your geometry. Your geometry doesn't include light. Your geometry is what it's debunking, asking me why the argument that's based on your claim of an Earth sphere radius 3959 doesn't include light. That's your claim, and why your claim doesn't include light. Well, because it's a geometric claim. That's your geometric claim that is totally deficient. Do you understand that?
So you got the modus tollens word for word from the globe.
You claim radius 3959, Earth a sphere. That's what you claim.
So I claim the modus tollens that you give in the Black Swan.
You just managed
Yes.
to repeat it, and your defense was that no, we haven't got a hill getting in the way. We agree. Welcome to Flat Earth. That's the 4th time.
My defense is, why doesn't the Black Swan argument include light?
Why doesn't the Earth
just
curve
too
maths with a radius 3959 make the assertion about light? Because it's a geometric assertion that you make. That's the 2nd time I've told you.
Stop trying to flip my question, Nathan.
Your question, why doesn't the modus tollens include light? Well, because it's based on a geometric assertion of radius 3959, sphere Earth, your claim, that's geometric. Geometric isn't light, it's geometry. And that is why the modus tollens has the assertion of the geometric limitations you claim with your deficient maths. Why are you asking me?
So your Black Swan is about the geometric horizon.
No shit.
So
Thanks
do
for
you have
catching
a
up, bro.
picture of the
No shit, Sherlock fucking Holmes.
Do you have a
It's only taken you 18 months for you to say, so the Black Swan argument's about a geometric horizon. 18 months?
This is
Do
sad,
you
bro.
have a picture of the
Cyrus,
geometric
this is
horizon
pathetic,
being
man.
further than what it is?
Sorry, yes, it's called the Black Swan.
That is a picture of the apparent horizon.
Yeah, and your horizon, based on a radius 3959 sphere, would be at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet as detailed by you. It's not.
Geometric horizon, yes.
Yeah, so we
Yes,
don't
that is
have a
correct.
geometric horizon then, do we?
Horizon.
So we don't have
Now,
one.
can I see a picture?
So we
Can I see a
don't
picture of the
have
geometric
one.
Horizon being that far.
Yeah, it's called the Black Swan. We don't have a geometric horizon. That is the conclusion.
That is not the conclusion because
right
you
now,
have a
bro.
picture of the apparent horizon.
So not the geometric horizon then?
Unless you can show me a picture of it being further than that.
Unless I can show you a picture of the geometric horizon I don't claim and your maths requires. So you're going to try and flip the burden of proof? Maybe start fundy muting me
No,
when I point
you're
it
the
out.
one debunking
Of course, right on
You're
cue,
the one
he's talking
debunking
through me. Maybe
You're the
start
one
telling the
debunking
audience that you're getting muted while you fundy mute the fact that you've just flipped the burden of proof and demanded that I show you a geometric horizon. The very thing, this argument, your claim of geometry is debunked by, you're going to tell me I need to show you a geometric horizon. No, Fundy Globetard. No interruptions either, Fundy idiot. That is your claim that you would need to show me. It's marked with an X and labelled horizon in your globe maths. And what's that you say? The one we see is an apparent, not a geometric horizon that would get in the way of boats and buildings. Fundy, mute continually. You piece of shit.
Both in the way.
You piece of shit.
Both in the way.
Do you understand why I'm calling you a piece of shit?
I don't care.
Well, I'm calling you a piece of shit because I'm taking apart your argument, and your cognitive dissonance comes in when the devastating conclusion comes, and you feel it's your necessity to interrupt that devastating conclusion. You've just made it clear, well, that's not the geometric horizon we're seeing in that image. Yeah, welcome to flat Earth. Marked with an X, labelled horizon in your geometric assertion based on maths, is a geometric horizon that the horizon we see is not. Ergo, the end of your argument that requires geometric horizons, you complete idiot.
And also the end of your black swan.
Just talking through every word of the conclusion so he doesn't have to respond to it. He's descended to the tactics of rumpus, like the scumbag wanker he is. So rather than listening to a single word I've got to say, you're going to Fundy mute it and then go off on a tangent that doesn't address a single word I've said. You've just told me, see how long it takes to interrupt immediately. You've just told me the horizon we see is not the geometric horizon. So we don't have one. It is labelled. It's going to be a constant stream of interruptions. I'm never going to get the opportunity to make the conclusion that proves we're not on a sphere. You coward.
Go for it.
I've tried 6 times. You've talked through it every time. You're a scumbag wanker coward who cannot bear the thought of being proven wrong because you've got a fucking sphere belief. So therefore you won't let me talk. You definitely won't listen. And like now, you're going to interrupt me when you say, go ahead. Why the hell are you talking when I point out that if Earth was a sphere, radius 3959, then every distance to horizon could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's the geometric horizon. Marked with an X. Labelled horizon. Constant interruption. Devastating. This is what the Black Swan does to you, virus. Yeah, this is why you fundies don't want to come here. Because when the conclusion comes, you want to talk through it.
Go ahead, man. I'm agreeing with
What, tell me to go ahead for the 4th time while you mutter through the conclusion for the 7th time, you total coward? You're all scum, fundies. Yeah? Maybe bleat about how I've got a fucking mute button when this happens. Yeah? This asshole who's come here and asked if he can talk about this has told us in no uncertain times the horizon we see isn't geometric. Oh, right. So that horizon, the one marked in your model with an X with horizon written next to it, isn't the one we see then?
Nope.
Welcome to flat Earth.
Don't welcome me to flat Earth. That has nothing to do with flat Earth.
Really? Well, you have a model with a geometric assertion and a horizon that's geometric that you've just told us we don't see.
Yeah, okay. That has.
Yeah, so
But
if you
you're not
can't
even
see
smart
it,
enough to understand why we're welcoming you to flat Earth, bro.
so if you can't see
I
it,
said it, he's a dummy.
so if you can't see it, you can't measure it, and if you can't see it, it can't be blocking boats and buildings.
Hold on. I can't measure it?
No,
Why not?
because you can't see it, you stupid boneheaded idiot.
Not in the
Wow,
black
bro.
swan. You
This is sad.
Sorry, so what you're going to say is it's not visible in the black swan, but what? We can see it under different circumstances. That's wrong, virus. You don't understand your own argument. Everything's always refracted.
No, I understand my argument quite well.
Really? Well, how are you going to measure it if everything's always refracted?
Get high enough.
Sorry, everything's always refracted. You think going higher is going to stop everything being always refracted in your model?
Yeah.
No. So you can't measure the geometric horizon, and the measurement of the geometric horizon gives you an R value. So you haven't got an R value. Further to that, your refraction's based on R.
No, I can get the R value different.
Sorry, you can't get the R value. It's based on a geometric horizon. Don't tell me you can get it. It's based on a measurement of the horizon, the edge of a sphere, to give you the radius. And you can't see that, Virus, and you can't go higher. Everything's refracted. And Rumpus is lying about it currently, saying that back in the day when he did say Earth curve got in the way, and he drew a straight line to it, that everything was refracted then too. Everything except the straight line he didn't refract because he needed it to do the geometry that you can't do anymore. You haven't got a geometric horizon anymore, Virus. Is it sinking in while we welcome you to Flat Earth?
You know I can get the R value different ways, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't need the horizon for that. You do know that, right? Do you know that? Does Nathan know that there's more than a few ways to get the R value?
There's 3 ways. Give me all 3.
I said more than a few ways.
More than 2 ways, that's 3. Yeah, I can count.
Okay. One of them, do you want to hear it or do you want to talk?
Sorry, do you want to continually ask whether I know the thing that you haven't told me, not? Or are you going to tell me how you're going to measure R?
Well, I was going to, you interrupted me. But anyway, you can use Polaris if you want to, or you could use the circumference, you could use the equator, the prime meridian. Take a pick.
What?
What? You can use the circumference. Where are you getting that from?
What?
Wow. That was great.
Do you want to expand on it? Do you want to tell us how? What's the method? Start with you saying that we've got a circumference, which is actually you begging the question.
What, using the length of the equator?
So the equator's
For
the
example,
midpoint for the Who's interrupting? Shut up. You mean the midpoint for the celestial bodies above us? That's nothing on the ground. That's not an outside edge of a sphere, you assume. Strike 1. Next.
It doesn't have to be the outside of a sphere. It's the equator.
I'll say it again while you completely hand wave me. Maybe you can actually paraphrase what I've said to you back, which presumably you've interrupted, switched off from, and completely ignored. That is a midpoint. Oh, is he going to interrupt it for the second rendition? Fundy coward. Time to rumpus, right? Time for you to rumpus. Equator, outside edge of an assumed sphere, derived from the midpoint of the celestial movements. Nothing to do with the outside edge of a sphere. It's the celestial movements that you average. That's the equator. Not a point on the ground, not the outside edge of a sphere. The midpoint averaged for the celestial bodies. Next.
It is not for the outside of a sphere. It is just to mark the path of the sun when it's during the...
Yeah, that's my fucking point, you dumb shit.
So it doesn't...
Yeah, so that's my point. So it's not the outside edge of a sphere. They're not the outside going to give you a radius. No, it's not going to give you an R value. That's my point. Parroting back my point like it's going to win you a point. Next.
Right. Well, now you ain't even going to let me finish. How you just going to...
What, let you finish when you've just parroted back my exact argument that it's actually a midpoint for the celestial objects, not the outside edge of a sphere? You parrot that back and think that somehow you've got somewhere to go with this, you stupid idiot. You haven't.
So basically me saying that was saying that I already knew that. So before you said that, that was also...
Yeah, you're a jabbering buffoon. You haven't got an R value. You need a geometric horizon, you complete idiot. That's what you base your geometry on. It's the heart of it, you idiot. I love hearing Nathan destroy globe-believing fools, said Ted Marks. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Also, shout out to Tony Whitcomb. Thank you very much indeed. Reality denier Kumi. Pure and simple. Really appreciate the support, Tony Whitcomb. Also, shout out to Retro Bill. I sincerely appreciate all of the hard work that goes into this thought-provoking channel. Wow, thank you very much. I'm slightly taken aback, Retro Bill. Really do appreciate the support. Thank you very much.
Tell us more about that horizon you're supposed to have that you can't see ever, Virus.
What you want to know about? I wasn't really talking too much about the horizon.
Where the hell is it?
Well, okay, so you have the
that's what we want to know.
Yeah, I have
and for a year and a half, you guys have been telling us you don't have one. And why would we expect to see it? Meanwhile, you told us at the same time that boats are going over this thing. So how the hell do you sound right now? Like, do you even know what you're saying? Tell us more. Tell us more how you can't see the geometric horizon. Go ahead.
So what's wrong with refracted objects disappearing behind an refract? the objects. I
As
don't
he's
see the
saying
point.
it, he realizes how stupid it is. What's wrong with refracted objects going behind a refracted horizon? So you've got a mirage obscuring a mirage, have you now? What an absurd load of old nonsense. What's wrong with objects that we can see that shouldn't see because they're behind a geometric sphere edge obstruction being seen but being refracted with respect to a refracted horizon because we haven't got a geometric one anymore? What's wrong with that cluster screw of nonsense? A lot.
You added a whole bunch of nonsense in there.
Oh, really? Well, I'll tell you what's wrong with the refracted value then, shall I? As that was specifically your question. I have a memory and can listen to what my opponent actually says. What's wrong with the refraction?
That was not my question.
Your refraction.
That was not
your
my question.
Your refraction was your question. What's wrong with refracting it?
No, it wasn't.
I think I know what you asked.
It wasn't.
So you weren't asking about refraction. I just imagined that.
Yeah, I did not ask you about refraction.
What's wrong with a refracted target being behind a refracted horizon with lots of stuttering in between was what you said.
Yeah, I was asking.
Yeah, so I fucking heard you, you dumb shit. Right. The problem is your refraction's based on an R value. Terrestrial refraction includes R. And that would require a geometric horizon to have been measured to get 3959 to be part of 7/6 of 3959. So you're going to need the 3959 because your refraction's got it in it. And you can't see it, can you now? So if you can't see a geometric horizon, where are you getting the 3959 for your 7/6 or any derivative of 3959? Because that's what your refraction is. It's derived from the R value that you can't see anymore, Virus.
Polaris. You can get it from Polaris. Or
you can get it from some other nonsensical bullshit that you're going to make up. Polaris? What, a star? So a minute ago we were getting the equator from a star, and now we're getting an R value from a star that's in the sky.
Yep, you can do that too. That's one of the ways I gave you earlier.
Oh, really? Tell us about it. I'll keep the live show going, Virus, as you don't seem that keen to be doing this live. Tell us about how you get R from Polaris.
Hysterical.
You say what?
How do you get R from Polaris? Your claim, dipshit. Back it right now for a live audience.
Go.
You look at Polaris and you see how many degrees it drops down from the sky as you move away from it. For every degree, see how far you went back. And as it goes until it goes all the way down, measure how far you go back. For every degree, you will end up getting around like 69.4. I don't remember, but it's like around 69 miles. For 69 miles, that thing will drop 1 degree. So 1 degree, 69 miles. You use that, multiply by 360, boom.
Why?
What you mean, why?
Sorry, why are we... What? You're having me on. Why are you going to beg the question of it being circular?
No, you're asked. I'm not begging the question. You're asking for how you get a measurement of
All right, what's
something.
the 364? What's the 364?
Circle?
A what now?
A circle?
What, your assumption that it's going to be taking place 1 degree at 69, whatever you said, because you haven't got the vaguest clue what you're babbling about because it's on a circle already. So, begging the question fallacy then.
The shape of the Earth. This is
so you're going to assume that it's circular when you make this measurement then?
Yes, I already knew.
Yes, you're going to assume it, you dipshit. Yeah, so I kept the live show open for a begging the question fallacy where you assume it and just insert a 360-degree circle, the very thing you're supposed to be proving, at the start of your measurement, so you already know you're on a sphere. Oh, right. Why would you already know this?
Why would I assume it? I already...
Yeah, why the fuck would you assume it when you're supposed to be measuring it?
Too.
Yeah, it is assumed. You've just conceded that. Are you going to lie now? Yeah, it is assumed. You're going to lie through your back teeth about the assumption you made when you dropped in 360. A circle?
Why would I assume the circle if I...
Yeah, good question. That's what we're asking. Yeah, that's what we're asking.
That's our question, right?
Yeah, that's our question to you. Weird how when we have a devastating point that we put to you, you seem to parrot it back like it's somehow a defense.
I mean, if it's something I already know, why would I...
Oh, so you already know it's a sphere? Oh, well, why are you making any measurements then? You can beg the question perfectly adequately without looking at Polaris. You already know. That's perfectly acceptable, right? Also a logical fallacy known as circular reasoning, begging the question.
No, so I can...
No. Yes, it is, you complete dipshit, globe-believing idiot. Yes, begging the question fallacy, yeah. Yeah, when you assumed you were on a sphere, part of your measurement, that's the thing you're supposed to be measuring and proving. But you're going to assume a sphere and then derive an R value from the assumed sphere you've got. Yeah, that's just a circular reasoning, mate. That's called begging the question.
If I already know it's a sphere...
No. You don't already know it's a sphere, dipshit. Yeah? We've debunked the geometric horizon and your assumption of an R value. Yeah? You don't already know you'd have an R value derived from a geometric horizon you can't see. What do you mean you already know? You can't see the geometry, so how do you already know? You've got an apparent refracted horizon based on an R value that you already know. That's how you don't already know. Yeah, it's circular reasoning, you dipshit.
Yeah, you're not making it.
Yeah, it's circular reasoning, you complete dipshit. Is this what you came here for? Circle reason your way around the black swan that you haven't got an argument against? You told us specifically you haven't got a geometric horizon. The very horizon marked with an X and labelled horizon in your geometric assertion that used to block boats, buildings and the Isle of Man. But apparently it isn't a hill anymore. Yeah, we know. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Why would you assume if any of that? That don't make sense.
Why would I assume what? A sphere? I don't. You do.
I don't.
What? The 360 degrees of a sphere beneath you that you're going to put in this measurement because you don't assume it? Yeah, you do. You're just a fundy circle jerker who can't bear the thought of having his fallacy pointed out by a flat earther. You can't bear the thought of me pointing out that you require a geometric horizon after you've told me you haven't got it and you can't see it. You'll fundy mute the crap out of that 6 times, won't you?
No, I heard exactly what you said, but why on earth would I assume the sphere? I mean, like, why would I not know it's a sphere and be looking for a radius unless I know a circle's involved?
Good question. We would entirely agree. And I'll put that to my audience. Why, as Akum Virus asks, would you ever want to just assume a sphere? Why would you need to do it? You don't need to do it, Virus. You don't need to assume a sphere at 360 degrees when you're looking at Polaris. You just do it because you're a fundamentalist religious zealot. That's why you do it.
I never did it.
Oh, really? 360 degrees of what now? A circle.
Why would I look for a radius unless a circle's involved?
You wouldn't unless you assumed one. That's right, Virus. You're snatching your own wig, as Chocolate would say.
Okay, so you asked me how would I find the radius of a sphere. So
no, you're assuming the sphere and assuming you can get a radius from it.
The answer to your question, which was how do you get an R value, that includes the circle automatically. Why would you get an R value with no circle?
Earth, moron.
Why would you get an R value with no circle? Well, you wouldn't, and you haven't. We've debunked it with the black swan, therefore no circle.
A circle involved.
Just Bundy muting the answers now. Is it just a constant string of you talking through me when I try and reply?
I wasn't finished.
I wasn't Fundy muting, and I've suddenly gone very quiet now. Yeah, you were. That's what you do. I'm responding to you doing it now. Middle of a sentence, you're talking? It's because it's devastating. Why would you assume a circle? Why would I need to assume and get an R value if I haven't got a circle? The answer is you wouldn't. But you still do it. You're still doing it right now. No. You're in the midst of cognitive pain and constant Fundy muting. Yeah? While I try and detail that you're asking me why on God's green earth you would assume a sphere. You wouldn't. But you do it anyway. Because you're zealots. That's why.
If you ask me to look for a radius, what other shape?
Sorry, I'm not asking you to look for a radius. You do that of your own smegging volition. Do I go out and say, hey, world, go out and look for the molten iron core? Or... No, I ask you dipshits who claim it to prove it.
Nope, you just asked me 10 minutes ago, what ways do I have to find R? You literally asked me that.
You claimed it. You assumed it. So I'm going to ask where you got it from. That's not unreasonable.
So I'm going to answer your question. And if you're asking me to where is an R value, that means there's a circle involved.
Oh, I see. So because I'm asking you where the fuck you got this assumption of a circle and an R value, you're saying, well, if you're asking me where I got this assumption of a circle and a sphere value, then there must be one because you're asking me for it. Are you nuts? Seriously?
Nothing to do with that, bro. You asked me.
It's got everything to do with a fundamentalist religious zealot on a live show who has an assumption of a sphere and is justify it by saying, well, you asked me for it. No, I don't give a shit whether or not you assume a sphere. You can't get an R value. We've debunked it. It requires a geometric horizon, marked with an X labelled horizon in your Earth curve maths, used to derive your refraction value at 7/6 of 3959. The R value you can't get, you can't see, and you've conceded that. But now you're going to say, well, why would you ask me to get one? Well, because you assert that you've got one. That's why. Well, if you're asserting that I assert I've got one, I must have one then. That's your logic. You people are imbeciles.
It's worse than that. It's worse than that, if I may, just for a second. Virus, please. So you say you got one from Polaris, right? And is it the same 3959 you got from Polaris when you pre-assumed you were on a circle? Is that true? Is it still 3959?
Shout out to Retro Bill. He says, this fundy for dessert is the cherry on top. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat.
Good question.
Retro Bill.
So, Virus, is it still 3959 if we go with your begging the question? Or has it changed from Polaris?
Okay, hold on. Before we do this,
just real quick. That Polaris.
Hold on, no, because I did that with Nathan, and all of a sudden he thinks I assume a spirit because he asked me for a radius. So are we assuming a shape here?
I'm giving it to you. I'm giving you your Polaris, and let's go on with it. Is it still 3959? The radius.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then let me read the modus tollens. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959, no matter who derived it by what means, but you just admitted it was. So here we go. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959, then every horizon distance measurement must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Well, you're still stuck with the black swan because you need it to be no further than that because it's limited still based on your 3959. So you're screwed both ways.
Shout out to Guns of Navarone RMP, who says, Nathan at the top of his game, poetry to the ears. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. It's credit to the panel just as much as me, Guns of Navarone, but I really, really appreciate the super chat. So with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did smash the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!